Bonjour à toutes et à tous.
So, hello everybody, we are back on the terrace for the Photocall for this 10th and final day of the competition
Dans quelques instants, nous allons
pouvoir
suivre ensemble.
So, we're going to be seeing live on TV Festival the Photocall of the film Broker from Hirokazu Kore-Eda and for the competition at the 75th Cannes Film Festival. The crew are getting ready to go onto the terrace for the Photocall. The Photocall will be followed by
L'après-midi,
the press conference, and then in the afternoon we're going to have the red carpet and the last of this festival at
à 17h40, les marches
2:45 showing up, and then at 2:50 un petit frère, and then masquerade out of competition at 8 o'clock. So the cast of Kore-Eda's film is moving towards the Photocall, and we are going to see them soon.
Photocall, c'est parti.
Photocall.
C'est le début de
So the beginning of this Photocall for the film Broker
un film de Hirokazu
from Hirokazu Kore-Eda.
Voilà, film en compétition pour
The film is in competition for the 75th Cannes Film Festival.
On voit le réalisateur, il est à droite.
Director there on the right.
Le pitch du film donc de Broker.
So the picture of the film is the film Broker.
Ça passe la nuit, donc ça
It is at night. It starts on this very rainy night, and you see this young woman abandoning her newborn in a baby box.
Il est récupéré illégalement
And it's picked up illegally by two men who want to find a new family for this child. But of course, they want to get paid for this.
lors d'un périple insolite et inattendu à travers le pays.
They go all around the country, and the destiny of the people who meet this child will be deeply changed.
C'est le 8e film
It's the 8th film selected in Cannes for
japonais.
this Japanese director.
Il était arrivé en 2001 sur la
He
croisette
arrived
en compétition.
here in 2001 with Distance,
Puis en 2004,
and then in 2004, Nobody Knows in competition.
le prix d'interprétation masculine avait d'ailleurs été remis à
The Best Actor Award went to Yoo-Young.
Voilà, on voit toute l'équipe du film posée là.
So there they are, posing for the photographers, the actor,
Kang Dong Won,
Kang Dong Won,
un des ravisseurs,
who plays one of the kidnappers, one of the baby nappers, but a big-hearted kidnapper, as we see in the film.
À droite,
On the
vous aurez
right of the
reconnu Song Kang-Ho,
is Kang-Ho
veste blanche,
with the white jacket,
tiche de Park Chan-wook,
favorite actor of Bong Joon-ho and Park Chan-wook.
le père de la famille.
He's the father of the family
En 2010,
in the film Parasite 2019, Palme d'Or in Cannes.
voilà, on voit le casting, on découvre le casting du film.
So there you can see the cast of the film.
Ici donc Kang Dong Won.
Kang Dong Won,
À gauche de l'écran, c'est Joo-Young.
then
Au milieu, c'est Joo-Young,
Joo-Young Lee, and then Lee Lee.
qui décide finalement de partir le retrouver et qui se retrouve embarqué un peu
And
malgré
so they get sort of carried up in this, carried along on this road trip
vers la meilleure
and
famille.
discover the best family possible.
On la voit à droite.
And there on the right,
Jin Lee donc, qu'on appelle également Yu.
Jin Yi is also
À
called
la
Yu.
base, c'était une chanteuse
wasn't
de K-pop. C'est toujours
Originally an actress, she was a K-pop singer, and she still
la
is.
sensation du Festival de Cannes 2019.
So
Acteur Song
actor
Kang-ho,
Song Kang-Ho, of course, it was here in 2019,
Park Chan-wook et
a
de
favorite of
Joo-Young,
Park Chung-wook and Bong Joon-ho, as I said just now,
Il connaît maintenant
smiling, and he knows the festival well.
Très heureux de le retrouver.
Very happy to see him back here a few years later.
Le film Parasite, donc,
So Parasite,
qui est la Palme d'Or en 2019, mais
Palme d'Or
également
2019,
le premier film
and it was the first film to win the Best Film Oscar.
le seul long métrage à obtenir lors de la même
And,
cérémonie l'Oscar du meilleur film et le meilleur film étranger.
So Best Film and Best Foreign Film that year.
Photocall,
So he's leaving the Photocall, Kang-Ho.
premier film avec le réalisateur
This is
Kore-Eda.
his first film with Hirokazu Kore-Eda.
Il incarne un autre trafiquant, le duo de trafiquants qu'il forme avec Kang Dong Won. Voilà, là à l'écran.
So here on the screen, you've got Joo-Young.
Dans le film, elle incarne une policière.
She plays
Justement,
a policewoman investigating child trafficking,
elle va suivre tout le long du
and she
le road trip
follows this road trip
par le gang de trafiquants à la petite semaine.
this
La maman,
little group of petty kidnappers.
elle est au casting de beaucoup de courts-métrages.
She's in a lot of short films in her home country,
Le film également,
and some films as well, but notably a number of TV series.
très connu sur le petit écran.
So she's very well known on the small screen.
Il fait son entrée, c'est
And
l'héroïne
now,
du film.
Lee
de
Ji-yoon,
Kore-Eda, c'est la maman
the heroine, the mother of this abandoned child,
qui va être la raison
and
départ du road
which
trip
is the
effectué
trigger for this road trip,
qui, à sa propre façon, va former une
carried out by this group who make their own family. In fact, they make up their own family. And
cœur à suivre tout au long du film.
we'll follow them throughout the 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 15, 2.25 hours of the film. So she's a really, really well-known K-pop singer,
Elle a également
extremely popular.
à son actif
She's got a few films as well, but Broker
sa première
is her
incursion dans le
first
cinéma indépendant
incursion
d'auteur.
into independent auteur cinema.
Très touchante dans son rôle de
She's
maman,
very touching as a mother.
mais résignée.
Who's a bit lost,
le
but
meilleur pour son
resigned to want the best for her child.
Une interprétation magnifique de la part
A wonderful
de la
performance
chanteuse.
from this singer and actress.
Voilà, quatrième membre du casting.
Fourth member of the cast,
Kang Dong Won qui incarne le
Kang
deuxième
Dong Won, who is the second kidnapper alongside Kang-Ho.
acteur de 41 ans.
41 years old.
Quelques films également à son actif en Corée du Sud.
But a few films as well that he's made, and he has worked with Kim Ji-woon.
Lui aussi incarne un trafiquant donc très touchant.
So he plays a very touching child trafficker,
D'un certain bonheur
seeking happiness,
ne se trouve pas là où
and
il le
which
croit.
he doesn't find where he thinks he'll find it.
C'est au tour du réalisateur de faire son entrée accompagné
Yeah.
de l'acteur.
The director with
Kang-Ho.
actor Kang-Ho,
Un petit tour avec le réalisateur. Réalisateur donc
so the director who has been 8 times to the Cannes Film Festival
qui avait eu la Palme d'Or
and
en
who won the
2018.
Palme d'Or in 2018 for Shoplifters.
La famille, un thème
So the family is a very
au
important
centre du
theme
cinéma de Kore-Eda.
for him.
Un cinéma donc fait de chroniques familiales
So family stories,
dans
family
lesquelles il évoque une grande
sagas,
douceur,
and
le deuil, le
he
mensonge,
talks about
l'abandon, la
lie,
culpabilité,
abandon, guilt,
la difficulté également
sorrow,
d'être parent.
mourning, difficulties of being a parent.
En 2013, il avait
In
également eu le prix du
2013,
jury pour
he
Tel
got
Père,
the jury
Tel Fils.
prize for Like Father, Like Son.
Va-t-il recevoir une deuxième palme
Is he going to get
et
a
entrer dans le
second
cercle
Palme d'Or
très
and
fermé des 8 metteurs en
become
scène
one of the
qui ont
very
réussi à l'obtenir?
small circle
Cela
of
leur
directors who've
rapprocherait
had it?
peut-être de son idole Ken Loach.
This would make him approach his idol, Ken Loach, who of course has won 2 Palmes d'Or.
Alors qu'on voit sur ces images donc de téléfestival.
So here we can see on Téléfestival
Le réalisateur revenu
director coming back.
Photocall. Hop, petit sprint. Tac.
Going back to the Photocall, quick sprint, and there he is.
Disparu aussitôt revenu.
So now you don't see him, now you do.
Le voir seul également.
So of course, see him alone.
Jeu de lunettes.
So playing with his glasses.
Il est à l'aise chez lui, cela fait déjà
So he's very comfortable here.
8 fois.
8 times, he's been here 8 times to Cannes.
Le film sera d'ailleurs à l'affiche le 7 décembre au
The film
cinéma.
is coming out in France on the 7th of December.
Photographe.
And saluting the photographers, waving to them.
Premier film en compétition en
First
2001
film in competition was in 2001
pour Hirokazu Kore-Eda.
for Hirokazu Kore-Eda.
Il connaît bien la croisette.
So
il
he knows
repart,
this
il
well.
a fini
So
avec les
there we are.
photographes.
He's finished with the photographers now.
Et maintenant, il est
And
temps
now
de passer à
it's
l'étape
time to go to the next phase,
traditionnelle, conférence de
the
presse.
traditional press conference.
On voit les deux actrices donc en ensemble
The 2 actresses
majestueuses donc
in their cream outfits.
sensibles dans le film,
They're very sensitive in the film,
très touchantes.
very touching, very
Voilà, elle
moving.
salue la caméra, elle salue les caméras de
Waving
télévision.
to the cameras of Téléfestival.
L'équipe du film donc
So they are
retrouver la
going
traditionnelle
to go
conférence
to
de
the
presse.
traditional press conference.
C'est donc une 8e
So
participation. au
8th
Festival de
participation
Cannes
in the Cannes
pour
Film
le
Festival
réalisateur
for
Kore-Eda, une potentielle 2e palme d'or.
Hirokazu Kore-Eda,
Autant vous dire,
potentially a 2nd Palme d'Or.
de conférence, les
In the
questions vont
conference room,
s'user
the
et les
questions
journalistes vont être
are going to
nombreux.
be speeding. There are loads of journalists there, I think,
Kore-Eda, donc, qui est
So
venu pour
Kore-Eda,
la première fois.
who came for the very first time here,
L'acteur Kang-Ho, c'est la
or
première
has
fois
come
qu'ils
for the first
tournent
time with
ensemble.
Kang-Ho. It's the first time they've acted together.
Donc,
Favorite actor, of course, of Park Chan-wook and Bong Joon-ho.
et je vous propose de retrouver
And
la
I suggest we
bande-annonce
see the
du film.
trailer of the film.
뭐 한마디로 말하자면은 선이라고 해야 되나? 뭐 하는 거야 지금? 아니 왜 우리 가족 여행을 방해하고 그래?
나 다 알아. 가족 아닌 거. 우성이 팔려고 그러잖아.
너 좀 더 찾아보면 더 좋은 조건의 상대가 있을 텐데.
뭐야? 눈썹이 왜 이래?
반드시 현행범으로 체크할 거니까.
저 다른 나라 야! 우성아, 우리랑 이제 행복해지자꾸나. 응?
Vous venez de découvrir la bande-annonce du
So you've just seen the trailer of
Alors que
Broca,
nos images sont en train de
and
capter
there we can see
un instant volé de photographes, d'autographes, pardon, de selfies.
the signing of autographs and a few selfies. A lot of people want autographs, particularly
Avant d'être actrice, est avant tout
Lee
une
Joo-Young, who before
chanteuse
being
de K-pop
an actress
ultra
is
reconnue
a
dans son pays.
really well-known K-pop singer.
Bientôt, la conférence de presse qui va pouvoir démarrer.
So the press conference is about to begin.
Petit à petit, c'est en train de rentrer. Donc,
There they go. They're coming in. The actors, the cast, the director.
En conférence de presse.
Press conference.
Le film de Kore-Eda,
The
très
film by Kore-Eda
en compétition.
is in competition, much awaited.
De Kore-Eda.
His 8th film here in the Cannes Film Festival.
La tâche sera rude
And
pour
it's
les
going to
jurys.
be difficult for the jury members
Demain,
to work out by tomorrow. We're on the 10th day of competition.
le
So to work
festival
out
touche bientôt à sa fin, mais nous sommes en
what's going to
dernière
win,
ligne
and we're
droite.
at the
Encore
final
des films à
straight.
visionner. Je vous rappelle
Only a
donc
couple of
que
films
cet
left.
après-midi,
This
il y aura
afternoon,
3 montées
there
des
will be
marches
3 red
à vivre
carpets
ensemble
that we
sur
can see together
Téléfestival.
on Telefestival.
La montée des marches, notamment du film Showing Up
For
à
Showing Up
45.
At 2:45.
17h40, les marches
At
de Petit Frère
20
de
to 6,
Léonore
Petit
Serrail.
Frère, Léonore Serrail.
Et en dernier
And
lieu, pour clore
finally,
cette journée,
To close the
les
day
marches
off,
de Mascarade, hors
Mascarade,
compétition,
out of competition,
le nouveau
the new film
Bedos
from
avec
Nicolas
un
Bedos
casting
with
merveilleux, somptueux,
fantastic
et
cast,
notamment Marine Vac,
particularly Marine Vact,
Isabelle Adjani,
Isabella Gianni, who
casting
will
du film de Nicolas
be
Bedos,
in Nicolas
François
Bedos'
Cluzet
film,
et
François
Pierre
Cluzet,
Ninet.
and Pierre Ninet.
Voilà, Anaïs de Moustier.
Oui,
également
Anaïs
sera
de
là
Moustier will be here too.
au casting de Mascarade.
In
On attend
Mascarade.
toujours l'équipe
So we're
du
still
film
waiting
Broker,
for
donc le film de
the
Kore-Eda.
people from
On attend
Broker,
toujours
from
qu'ils
Kore-Eda,
s'installent
for them to
à la
come in
conférence de
and
presse. Ils ont signé
settle
de
down for the
nombreux
press
autographes.
conference. They signed a number of autographs, took some selfies, and
À 17h40 d'ailleurs,
at 20
le dernier
to
film
6,
français
the
en
final
compétition.
French film in competition,
Un petit frère donc de
un
Léonore
petit
Serrail.
frère, Léonore Serrail.
10e journée de
So
compétition
the 10th day
aujourd'hui,
of the
dernière
competition,
journée,
final day,
dernière ligne droite pour le Festival de
and
Cannes
the final
qui a
straight for
commencé
the Cannes Film Festival,
mercredi dernier.
which started last Wednesday.
Beau monde sur la croisette cette
So
année
this is
encore.
some
On a pu voir
fantastic,
Tom Cruise notamment.
Events,
Baz
Tom
Luhrmann qui
Cruise,
était venu avec
Baz Luhrmann
Presley.
with Priscilla Presley,
Tard que avant-hier et hier
a couple
pour
of
la
days ago,
Photocall
and
avec
for the
Tom Hanks
Photocall with Tom
également,
Hanks there as well,
le coutumier de la croisette.
who's been here
Les
a
photographes
lot.
n'ont pas boudé leur plaisir en tout cas.
The
au Photocall.
photographers were very, very happy and enthusiastic. So we are still waiting for the crew from the film.
Le film de Kore-Eda, donc magnifique road
Kore-Eda
trip
film, a fantastic road trip
d'une mère accompagnée de 2 trafiquants
of a
d'enfants,
mother with
d'un
2
autre enfant et
child
d'un bébé.
snatchers,
Une
another
équipe
child and a baby.
relativement,
So
incongrue
a fairly
qui va
incongruous
prendre la route pour aller
group,
trouver les
and they
meilleurs
go to
parents
find
possibles.
the best possible
enfant.
parents for this child.
Un film très 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 bien accueilli et d'ailleurs
So
je vous
really well
propose de
received,
retrouver
and I
quelques
suggest
images
we
du
see
Grand I après la
row
projection.
I after the screening of.
Et maintenant c'est parti pour
And
la
now
conférence
the
de
press
du film de
conference
Kore-Eda.
for Kore-Eda's film Broker.
Everyone. S'il vous plaît, merci. So, welcome, bienvenue. Nous recevons
We are now
la productrice
going to start on
Lee
the press
Eugene.
conference for The Broker. We have
Nous recevons
Lee
la
Eugene,
comédienne
producer,
Lee Joo-Young,
Lee Joo-Young, actress,
la comédienne Lee Ji-eun,
Lee Ji-eun,
le comédien Kang Dong Won,
actress, Kang Dong Won, actor,
Kang-Ho,
Kang-Ho, actor,
et le réalisateur
and the director,
Kore-Eda Hirokazu.
Kore-Eda Hirokazu.
Could you take your, please? Je vais tout de suite
I'd
poser
like
une
to
première
ask a
question.
first question.
Vos personnages sont tous des
Your
solitaires.
characters are all very solitary,
Solidaires.
yet they are a close-knit group. You've often talked about the family in your films, and this group makes up a family. Why did you take up this topic,
Dont les membres se
namely
choisissent.
choose a family whose individual members chose to become a family?
지은 씨 안 들린다는데?
On a un petit problème de casque que nous allons résoudre. Just 1 minute.
말씀해봐 주세요.
It's okay.
네, 네, 들립니다.
まずはたくさんお集まりいただいてありがとうございます。
Tout d'abord, merci infiniment d'être
Thank you very much for having come in such large numbers today.
今回車に乗り込む者たちの疑似家族の旅というのを描こうというふうに思って書き始めたプロットでそこに乗り合わせる人たちが、あらかじめいろいろな形で一般的に考えられる普通の家族親子というものから、排除されている切り離されて生きてきたという人たちが、ほんの短い間同じ車に乗るという話にしたいなと思って書きました。そのことによって、私たちが考えている考えて捉えている、家族というものを捉え直したいという気持ちもありましたし、彼らがその一瞬だけ手にすることで何か一つだけいいことをする、すごく小さな悪人だったり悪意を持って旅に同行したりした人たちが一ついいことをするって、そんな物語を紡いでみたいなと思った映画です。
Ce film raconte effectivement
This film tells the story
quelque part
of
composé
a
par
family which came together by choice. The individuals in their initial family setting were actually rejected, and they board this car, set off on a trip as though by chance together. So indeed, I wanted to draw the portrait of a family where members chose to belong to that family. Each of the characters have committed offenses or more major crimes, and they end up together. They try for once in their life to do something good to a greater or lesser degree. They finally think of others. They try to be kind. So I wanted to depict this common desire through the trip they embark on together.
Hello everyone, I'm Eun-sun from South Korea. I have a question to director. In the film, Sang-yeon and Dong-soo are serious criminals who kidnap the children, but I think film's attitude towards them seems to kind and soft and with very intense humanism. So I feel a little bit confused when I see them. They are criminals or a companion with the human side. So tell us about how you thought about the while creating these characters. Thank you.
描かれるモチーフが深刻であればあるほどディテールの描写にはある種の軽やかさとかおかしみみたいなものコメディではないですけど人間が本来持っている、存在のおかしみみたいなものを表現したいなと思いましたしその表現をするにはソン・ガンホさんという役者さんは一番ぴったりだなというふうに思ってました。
Je crois que quelque part, plus les situations, plus les personnages sont graves,
the more the situations and the characters are serious, the more serious things are, the more I want to add a very light touch, a touch of humor. I love these contrasts. To play the main part, Mr. Sang Kang-ho was truly the ideal person because he has these two sides to himself anyway.
Stand up, please.
Hello, my name is Ayako Ishizu for Japan, Bangor, and thank you for the great and what I say. Well, thank you for the performance and the great films. And the questions for the first actors, Mr. Kang Dong Won, Song Kang-Ho, Ji-Yoon, all those are really great. But what's the big difference between Mr. Kore-Eda and other Korean directors? I mean, directions or anything. It's really poignant, really different. And for the Mr. Kore-Eda, how about shooting in Korea? I think it's Busan is well, for the film lovers in Japan, Busan is a very special place for us. But also, why did you choose especially that location? Thank you.
고레다 감독께서는 한국 감독님하고 가장 큰 차이점은 상당한 미식가라는 점.
The difference between Kore-Eda and Korean directors is that he loves food. He enjoys good food and eating well, and he loves Korean cooking.
큰 차이점인 것 같아요.
Compared with the Korean directors, that's the main difference.
Les autres comédiens. Kang Dong Won.
우선 감독님이랑 작업할 때 굉장히 제가 새로웠던 지점은
Working with Mr. Kore-Eda.
분들도 그러시는 분이 계실지 모르겠는데 우선 모니터
Well, I don't know about other Korean directors,
배우들의 연기를
but
지켜보는 게 굉장히 인상 깊었어요.
on the set with us, he's very present, and he's really with us. It's quite impressive.
잡아낼 수 있지 않으셨나라고.
He really manages to catch emotions and feelings in detail.
고레다 감독님의 가장 큰 특징이 저희랑 또
For
다른
me,
언어를 사용하시기 때문에
Kore-Eda stands out because he doesn't speak the same language as us.
어떤 것을 놓치지 않으려고 집중했던 시간이
We therefore tried keenly to listen to the slightest detail. Because of this linguistic barrier, I concentrated much more compared with other films I've done, and it was a very amusing experience for me. Working with the director was wonderful. We had to use an interpreter, of course, but apart from that, I don't really know. There's no big difference. Just apart from the fact that he has a different nationality. He was very relaxed with us. He created a very relaxed atmosphere, which made shooting the film very pleasant.
釜山のロケーション、映画祭でたびたび参加はしているんですけれども、食べるのに一生懸命で、あんまり街を撮影を前提に見ていなかったというのもありまして、今回ロケハンで結構いろんな場所を候補として回らせていただきました。その中でやはり街は坂道が多い、山が迫っている。なのでその立地の高低差みたいなものを生かした場所を撮影の本現部さんと一緒に探して、結果的にああいう場所を選んで撮影しました。とても魅力的な街で、ソウルとの違いもこうワンカットで出るっていうとても面白い撮影でした。
Pour ce qui est du choix de Busan pour la ville.
Why did I choose Busan? I'd already been there on several occasions to attend the festival, but I was so busy eating good Korean dishes that I didn't really have time to explore the city itself. We did a lot of location scouting in the city. What struck me is that it's a city full of contrasts. Busan is surrounded by mountains, so there are lots of streets which are very steep and hilly. And I wanted to use the difference in levels within the city. I like that idea. It's a city which you can easily identify because it's very different from Seoul, and shooting there was a very positive experience.
Hi, this is Joo-Young from the Associated Press. I have a question for director Kore-Eda. What was the most difficult scene to film and why? Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't. Could you repeat, please? d'accord. Okay.
基本的には本当に撮影は撮影部制作部優秀でスムーズに進みました。車のロケーションも合成を使わずに基本的には全部実際の車を走らせて撮るというやり方をしたにもかかわらずとても順調だったんですけど、一番難しかったのは観覧車が狭くてですね、僕自身は乗れないので、僕は、さっきドンウォンさんがおっしゃっていたようになるべく役者のそばでお芝居を見てジャッジをしたいと思ってたんですけども、あのシーンに限って言うと僕は下で待っていて、観覧車が上に行くにつれて音が飛ばなくなるので、どんなやり取りがあったのかっていうのは戻ってこないと判断ができないっていうような状況もあったりして、そこが一番不安でしたし、撮れたものに一番感動したのもあのシーンでした。
Basically, shooting the film went very well. There were a few times when we felt it was difficult. Even the scenes in the car, we were able to shoot in real conditions with the car just as it was. One of the slightly more complicated scenes to shoot was the one in the Ferris wheel, because the little carriages are extremely small, so I couldn't go on with the actors. I didn't want to have to follow them on a monitor, but in this case it wasn't possible. I couldn't go on the Ferris wheel with them. I had to wait on the ground, and I was a bit anxious to see what was going to happen. They went shooting up, and the higher they went, the less I could hear. I had to wait for them to come back down. That's the scene which was the most tricky for me, yet it gives me tremendous emotion, so I'm very happy with the end result.
Bonjour, Esther Eboyan, du quotidien Eurojournaliste, France.
A question from France. I very much liked your film. Thank you very much. I have a question for Kore-Eda. Your film could have been a tragedy, but it's actually a comedy at times, a sentimental comedy. Are you trying to depict your faith in humanity?
So 置かれている状況は本当に登場人物誰一人として楽観できる人はいないというか、深刻な状況だからこそ深刻に語るというよりはどこかで軽やかにということは意識しますし、逆の場合はやっぱり逆を考えるんですよね。それは一つの戦略でもありますけども、何かを語って聞かせるときにやっぱ悲しい話を悲しそうに語っても聞いてくれないので、そこはむしろ笑える話として届ける、そういう要素を描いていくっていうのは考えますし、この作品に限らず僕自身はもちろん現実の厳しさというものをどこかにきちんと描き込みながらも、やはり最後に人間の可能性とかある種の前世みたいなものは、今回特に赤ちゃんをめぐる話でもあるので描きたいなというふうに思いました。
I think that this is something I always try to do, whatever the story I'm telling. If things are very serious, I want to inject a lighter note, and if things are very light, then I want to inject a more serious note. Telling a sad tale, a very serious tale in a sad way, isn't as convincing. I don't think people listen so carefully. So this is a way of drawing attention and interesting the people who watch and listen. I believe that this is something I always like to do, whatever the story I'm telling. In a situation where none of the characters are spared, each character has a tough life, I wanted to have a bit bit of a comic touch, to add levity. I do indeed believe in the potential of human beings. I'd like to believe that in their innermost depth, people are actually kind and good. If I can, I always try to underscore this.
必ずしも社会的にとか法的に正しいということではなくて、この物語で言えば例えばサンヒョンが選ぶ善というのは赤ちゃんにとって何が良いことかということを考えて行動するということなので、それは必ずしも法的に正しいことではない、そういう矛盾した行為というものも描いていきたいなと思ってサンヒョンのラストを考えました。
J'avais envie de le faire particulièrement.
I wanted to do this particularly because in this tale there's a baby.
Voilà, je pense que ça a encouragé encore plus cette tendance chez moi. Je voulais ajouter aussi
really made this tendency I have even more pronounced. I wanted to show the tenderness people have and their beauty. Sometimes you have to adopt an illegal way of behaving depending on the circumstances. You can't always abide by the law. It's for the sake of the baby that some offenses are being committed and people are not obeying the law. So beauty doesn't necessarily have to mean justice or leading a straight life.
Speak. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Shoko Koyama from NHK Japanese Public TV. I have a question to Mr. Song Kang-ho. Regarding Mr. Kore-Eda, he after winning the Palme d'Or in 2018, he went to France to film with French actors, and this time in South Korea with you. How do you see his challenge, a new challenge as a filmmaker? Thank you.
고레다 감독님은 이제 일본 그 전작들 훌륭한 전작들도 있지만
Kore-Eda has made wonderful films.
그리고 또
For example, he made the film The Truth, a French film. And I know that at present he's working on a whole set of projects.
고레다 감독님은 항상 끊임없이 탐구하고 도전하는.
Kore-Eda is someone who always takes up challenges, and that greatly impresses me.
우리 브로커라는 작품도 그 일환 중에 한 작품인데.
Even this film, Broker, is one of his very riveting projects.
차이점이 사실은.
There are cultural differences between Japan and Korea, but despite this, we were able to overcome them and work happily together. And that made working on the project together even more interesting.
Hello.
Une autre question?
Are there any other questions?
Bonsoir. Donc cinéphile nantais, français. Ma question c'est.
My question is for Kore-Eda. Do you have the impression that you're finishing a trilogy with Like Father, Like Son, Shoplifters, and now Broker? It's as though this was the end of a sort of a voyage for you. And we'd like to see you again to shoot another film in France.
そうですね、つながりがあるといえばやっぱりそうなのかもしれない。そして父なるを、取って、こういうインタビューに答えてた時に女性は子供を産むとみんな母親になれるけど男はなかなかその実感が持てなくて父親になるには何かこう階段を上っていかないとなれないんですというような実感を話した時に友人から批判をされまして、その女性でも産んだ人たちがみんなすぐに母になるわけではない、それ母性というものが生まれつき備わっているのだという こと自体がやはり男性から見た女性に対する偏見であるっていうことを指摘されて、それはとても僕は反省しました。その言われたことに。そのことから万引き家族の安藤サクラさんが演じたその産まないんだけど母親になろうとする女性と、今回イ・ジウンさんが演じた産んだんだけれどもいろんな事情で母になることを諦める女性という、その2人の女性像というのがその、自分なりにそこの反省から生まれた2人の女性像っていう形で、これは本当に姉妹として描いているんですね。なので僕の中でも直線的にそして血になるからこのショップリフターズブローカーというのはつながっております。
On peut effectivement dire que ces trois
One could say that these three films are linked. When I made Like Father, Like Son, I came to present the film and I answered journalists in interviews. I said that when you give birth to a child, you probably, the mother definitely feels like a mother, but it's more difficult for a father. To feel you're a father, some time has to elapse. At the time, a friend said to me, well, I think you're mistaken. It's not all that simple for a woman either. If you give birth to a child, it doesn't necessarily mean that you feel like a mother or that you have an innate maternal instinct. I think these are stereotypes, the stereotypes men have about women. So I called myself into question a lot at the time. I gave great thought to the matter. And in asking all these questions, I decided to do Shoplifters. And the actress is a woman who hasn't had children, but she wants to be a mother, even if she's never had a child. In Broker, the main character has had a child, Lee Ji-eun, but she doesn't feel ready to bring the child up. She doesn't feel like a mother. And I wanted to imagine the two women like sisters. That's why the three films are interlinked, because they're based on the same question. They follow a similar line, that is, these questions I've asked myself as time has gone by, and where I've tried to find answers. At least I wanted to continue to explore this kind of question.
Hello, this is Monica from SBS Morning Wide and Hanbang. I would like to ask a question to the Kang Dong Won and Lee Ji-eun, who did an amazing job from the film. And I believe the film really requires intentional, intense, and also a bit of very strong characters, and requires understanding of the job and also society in adoptions. I would like to ask, how did you put effort to make this character live for this film? 그 극중 캐릭터를 잘 몰입하고 그걸 잘 하기 위해서 어떤 배우 두 분께서 노력을 하셨는지 궁금합니다.
어쨌든 제가 맡았던 캐릭터 동수는
Well, the character I portray, called Dong-soo, is an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage in any event.
하는 그런 브로커 역할이었는데요.
But he sells babies. He's a broker,
어쨌든 제가
a middleman.
보육원 출신 분들을 만나고 대화를 나누면서
So I met and talked a lot with people who had grown up in orphanages. I noted this pain and suffering they had within themselves. So I tried to share that feeling and portray it in the film. When he meets So-young in the film, his pain is a bit mitigated, and that's what I wanted to show. For me, it was the first time I was playing the part of a mother, and an unmarried mother, moreover. There were an awful lot of things I had to portray on the screen, whereas I had no experience of this personally. I was a bit nervous. Also, the baby box at the beginning of the film, I had to read up on this to figure out what it really was. The role of a single mother, as this is something I'm not really familiar with. I know nothing about single mothers, so I tried to talk with some and I watched a lot of interviews, I looked at documentaries that talked about unwed mothers, and I understood to what extent they were very strong. Society looks down on them, and I myself have changed my viewpoint. I see them in a totally different light.
Song Kang-Ho, see if you want to tell something about your character.
Well, a question for the other actors.
I think the same thing. All the characters in the film
과거든 현재든 그렇게 행복한 어떤 환경 속에서 이렇게 살아가는 그런 인물들은 아닌 거예요. 그래서 사실은
people who haven't really been happy in their life. They haven't had a happy past or even a happy present. Kore-Eda
굉장히 평범한 일상 속에서 벌어지는
has shown us their daily life, which seems very ordinary, but he's also shown the violence, the fears, their invisible suffering. All these things gradually build up in their lives within each character.
이 현실을
Hence,
객관적이고 차갑게 보여줌으로 해가지고
you really see in a subjective yet distant world how cold the world we live in is. And this really makes our hearts melt.
저뿐만이 아니라 우리 배우 모두가 그런
This is something I understood in this manner in any way. I think that all the actors had a similar approach to the character that they were to portray.
I'm Michaela from Reuters. I'd like to ask about the baby who was part of the cast. Was there only one baby? How was he chosen? Were there auditions to choose this baby? And also for the cast, how was it like shooting with an infant? Did you get to bond with this baby? And how did it help you also get into your character and portray how each character was changed by caring for this baby?
いやもう赤ちゃんは奇跡だなと思ってるんですけど、まあ、コロナ禍での準備ということもあって直接会ってたくさんの中から選ばせていただくというようなことはできなかったので、本当に限られたもちろん新生児に近い状況の赤ちゃんなので、いろいろなケアも考えながら、動画をいくつか見せていただいた中で僕自身としては一番その周りの音にこう反応のいい子を選んだつもりだったんですね。顔がどうこうとかイジュンさんに似てるとかそういうことは一切関係なくその音に反応する子っていうことで選びました。で多分それは正しかったと思うんですけれども、実際にその撮影の現場でソン・ガンホさんが動くと目で追ったり目の前にいるこう養父母役の女性の顔に触ってっていうようなことがこうなんだろうね、もちろん僕の演出ではなくて起きていて、で彼がドンウォンのね電車の中でずっとこう手を握ってたりする、そういうことが多分大人の側のお芝居にも生きてきてるし、最後のねホテルの売りに行こうとするサンヒョンになんか語りかけるように赤ちゃんが大きな声を出してソン・ガンホさんの顔を見るところとかももう二度と多分できないと思いますけども本当にこういうことが起きるんだなっていうぐらい奇跡的な瞬間ばかりが残ってます映画の中に。
Pour moi, ce bébé est vraiment
for me,
un miracle.
the baby is a miracle.
Comme on était en pleine pandémie,
As we were in the middle of the pandemic,
pas pu faire un casting
I
physique,
couldn't do any real casting. I couldn't actually meet a lot of babies.
Par écran interposé.
Everything was done remotely on a screen.
Donc, comme ce sont des tout petits bébés,
As we're talking about a tiny baby, we had to take into account the fact
il allait falloir en prendre un soin.
that we'd have to take great care of the baby during the shooting of the film. I asked the family to send me videos. What was important for me was not the actual physical appearance of the baby. I didn't care whether he resembled Lee Joo-Young, or Lee Ji-yoon, rather. I really wanted the baby to react to external stimuli, sound, for example. And the baby, in particular, this one was really receptive and wide awake, aware of all the noises. For example, he watched people in various scenes. We see the baby playing with his hands, and he also reacts to his future adoptive mother. I didn't direct the baby and ask the baby to do this, so we had some totally miraculous moments. I think we were extremely fortunate. The baby really enabled the adults to portray something different in their characters. For example, when Song-hyun is about to sell the baby, we hear the baby cry as though he was trying to talk, and that is one of the magical moments in the shooting of the film. And the actors? What was it like acting with a baby?
뭐 방금 말씀하신 그 마지막 장면인가요?
Well, as you've just said, I think it was the last scene when the baby is looking at me. I had the impression he was saying, "Oh, well, listen, let's stop shooting. We've done enough takes. Let's stop. I want to stop too." I had the impression that the baby and I were having a whole conversation.
아무래도 송강 선배님이랑 저랑은 촬영을 예전에 한 작품을 했었었기 때문에
Kang-Ho and I had already worked together on other films. We knew each other well, we're good friends.
이제 같이 세 명이서 여행을 해야
But
되는데
for Lee Ji-yoon,
처음 이번에 작업이었기 때문에
we were a threesome in the film. It's the first time I'd been working with her. We didn't really know each other extremely well. Even in the film, I'm not really that friendly with her. As the film is a bit like a road movie, bit by bit, we had to become friends. And this friendship developed as the film unfolds. As we had a baby, an addition in the van, with the baby, in fact, it broke the ice because we could talk about the baby together. It helped us, therefore, to get to know each other better.
말씀하신 것처럼 일단 그 아이가 너무 말을 잘 듣고 카메라에 반응을 잘해서
Indeed, the baby really reacted well in front of the camera. He was really good.
그리고 영화를 보시면 알겠지만 정말로 아기 중에
We never found it difficult having the baby. He was so cute.
그냥 보고만 있어도 정말로
In the film, I had to act like I was his mother, but he was so cute. He wasn't a problem whatsoever, and that really helped me to play my part better.
Stand up, please.
Hello, I'm Boramo from Yonhap News Agency in Korea. Yeah. I'd like to ask Lee Jun-si. You played a quite tricky character, a murderer who abandoned your own child. What was the biggest challenge while acting?
첫 엄마 역할이었기 때문에 그리고
It's the first time I was playing the part of a mother. Before I was offered this
엄마 역할을
part,
도전해보고 싶다는 마음이 들 때쯤
strangely enough,
이번을 제안을 받은 거였거든요. 그래서 내가 지금 엄마 역할을 도전해보고 싶은데 마침 브로커라는
I was thinking that it would be interesting to play the part of a mother, and then this project was offered me, so it was quite incredible, the coincidence.
마음이 컸고
The character is a mother, and I really wanted to act as best I could. And she's not just any old mother. She has a complicated past, a rather somber, shady past. She's a complex mother, in other words.
없는 것처럼 보이기도 하고
She has a maternal side to her, but she has to show in the film that she doesn't have any maternal instinct. She looks at the baby with loving eyes, yet at the same time, well, sometimes I had to look loving, sometimes I had to hide it. It depended on the times in the movie.
Bonjour, ça va. Franck Leclerc de Nice Matin. Le film traite de la question de l'abandon avec beaucoup de délicatesse.
Talks about abandoned children in a very delicate way, and this baby box is a wonderful invention. Did this change the way you viewed these kinds of situations? Is it a question for Mr. Kore-Eda?
そうですね。日本でも韓国でもこのベビーボックスというものに対する評価というのはまだ定まってなくて、賛否両論あるものです今も。で、多くは多分この物語の冒頭でペドゥナさん演じた主人が発する捨てるなら産むなよっていう一言。そういう母に対するバッシングというのが、多分大半を占めるんじゃないかなと思ってます。あえてその言葉から始めつつ、彼女の目線を通して、車の外から見ていたらただの犯罪者の集まりである彼ら、そして売られていく赤ん坊というものを見る目線を、2時間の映画を通していろんな角度から揺さぶっていきながら、主人の中で、自分が発した言葉をどういうふうに、考え方とか目線とか母親に対する意見とかが、変わっていくのかっていう、それが縦軸になるんだろうなというふうに思いながら作っていました。何か明快な意見を僕が表明するというよりは、おそらく見た皆さんが主人と同じように旅に同行しながらそれぞれの今までの価値観をちょっとだけでも見終わった後にもう一度見つめ直していただけるような、主人がそうしたように、そんな映画であればいいなというふうに思っております。
Le dispositif des boîtes à bébés est un
The baby box is quite a controversial thing in Japan and in Korea.
On ne sait pas encore dire, il n'y a pas d'avis encore, on va dire, l'opinion publique, on va dire, n'a pas tranché sur le bien.
Hasn't really decided whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Je crois que c'est un sujet
I believe that this is a very controversial topic, and it deserves careful thought in any event.
Ça a été de partir quelque part de, je pense, l'avis majoritaire, ou en tout cas.
I wanted to view things like the majority of people. A lot of people have preconceived ideas about women who give up their children. That's the stance of the detective, the police captain, who represents public opinion at the outset of the film. And she says that. It's the first line in the film. She says she shouldn't have given birth if she was intending to give up the child and abandon it. So during the 2 hours of the film, the whole point is to try to open up people's minds and enable all the characters who are taking care of the baby, including the police captain and the spectator through the characters, enable all these people perhaps to call into question their rather hasty viewpoint about these kinds of situations in baby boxes. I didn't want to give an answer in any way or really change people's minds, but I think through the characters, the spectators can actually ask themselves the question again and say to themselves, well, what do I really think? This brings the press conference to an end, and I'd like to thank all those who were in the film for coming here today.